Hi, I'm Sarah and welcome to CoreMoodz. Today I'll be talking to you about these 26 books that I really want to tackle in 2026. It was really hard to make this list because there are so many books that I want to read. I think for me, it was really hard to just pick 26 books, and on the other side, I tried to pick books that I already for sure know that I want to read. I am reading 12 nonfiction books in 2026, one a month, and I'm also tackling 12 fantasy books that are a part of a series. So 12 nonfiction books, 12 fantasy books, 24 books already decided. So if I'm gonna read 100 books, 24 are already decided, and now I add 26 books. It's like half of my yearly reading already decided. And then if I do reading vlogs, then those books are already picked. So then it doesn't leave much room to just read or not read. So I just felt like maybe I have to merge a few things together. I read with a group of people since 2020. It's been almost 6 years, I think 5.5 years since we started reading. It's called we call ourselves the only good book club. It's very casual, and we pick books, and the next 6 books are books that are probably books we're gonna read. There are a few books that we didn't pick yet, so that's gonna be added in the future to my list. These are the 6 books. So the first book is Madonna in a Fur Coat by Sabahattin Ali, and this book I've seen discover a lot, and I for a while I thought, it's the classic, it's the more modern classic, but apparently it was written in the past 10 years somewhere. Yeah, I'm just interested. I think it's a Turkish author, and a very emotional story about loneliness. I think it's set in 1930s Berlin. Is the first book that I want to put on this list. Second book is There's No Antimemetics Division by QNTM. I think it's an anonymous author, and this book has been going around like a book that a lot of people think, it's very interesting. It has a very interesting concept and a very interesting way that it's been written. It's a little bit non-linear, and it's also about memory. So that was the thing that made me think, let me just add it to the list. The next book is Dead Souls by Nikolai Gogol, and this book has been on my list for a really long time. And it's a book that is about, I think, someone doing very shady business. I've been really wanting to read from the author. The next book on my list is Jump Notes by Hao Jingfang. I've just read Vagabonds by Hao Jingfang. Even though the last part was not as interesting to me as the first 2 parts of the book, I still wanted to read more from this author. So when this book was suggested as something to read together, I was very open to it, because I think maybe in a shorter book, maybe a little bit of different concepts, this author can thrive more. So I'm really intrigued and very open to this book. The next book is Toad by Catherine Dunn. I've never read from Catherine Dunn before, but this was a book that the person suggesting it was very enthusiastic about it. I'm going to give it a chance. And the last book in this batch is Telephone by Percival Everett. And I know of this author because they have written James, a book that a lot of people really liked last year. And I really wanted to read James, but I feel like James is connected, I think, to a different book. I don't remember the title. Reading from the author in this book, so in Telephone, I think it will give me an impression about their writing style. So I'll see if I want to read James next or not. June, Didi from the channel Virtues of Books is gonna read with her. I think she has a little bit of a casual book club in her Discord that is for people who don't read a lot, who just want to pick a book here and there and just want a non-official, a little bit of a low tempo buddy read. I think in May and June they're gonna read The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgkinson, and this book has been a huge book last year, and I didn't get to it. And it's a little bit of a big book. I thought if in May, June, around the time they're gonna read the book, if I'm doing okay on my fantasy books reading goal, I'll just add this book to it, because this is a book that I really want to read, and it's fun reading it with others and just interacting in Discord. The next book is The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Disha Filial. I think, I'm not sure about the last name. And this book, I've heard a few people say that it's really well written, it's very witty, very informative, and it's a very good description of the lives of women in Black churches. So I was very intrigued, so I'm adding it to my list. Also, Ghost Season by Fatin Abbas is a book that really caught my attention. It's about grief and loss and memory, and also I like the cover, so I was like, okay, let me just pick up this book. Sky Full of Elephants by Sebu Campbell is a book that had a bit of a buzz. A lot of people have been reading it and enjoying it, been recommending it. So I put this book on my list as a book that I really want to tackle in 2026. I think if all the white people of the world disappeared, it's a very interesting concept. The next book is A Mouth Full of Salt by Reem Ghaffar. And I think it's about a story in a small Sudanese village, and it's about oppression and survival. and I thought, yeah, it seems very interesting, and I really wanted to pick it up. The next book is Theft by Abdul Razak Gurna, and I think he's a Tanzanian author, and he's a huge Tanzanian author, and I've seen this name before, but I never picked up his book. It's about displacement, about class, about moral compromise. I heard also that this author's writing is very beautiful. Cursed Daughters, also a book I put on my list last year. And this book, a lot of people have been talking about, and it's been nominated. I'm not sure, did it win? I think it was nominated on a Goodreads Choice something in 2025. I think it's about a woman. When she is born, I think another relative passes away, and the family is grieving the passing of this relative, and then she is born, and they are saying her whole life, or you are this person reincarnated. So some members of the family keep calling her and using this other, I think her cousin's name or her aunt's name, and I think she feels like wanting her own space, her own identity, and just not to be linked to someone else. I'm not sure if it's going to go speculative, but I'm just very intrigued with this book. The next book I put on this list is Hunchback by Sao Ishikawa. And this book is about a disabled woman, and she's navigating life, desire, struggles. And I thought it was going to be really sad, but I heard a lot of people say that it has a little bit of a lighter tone, that it's not as intense, that it's a little bit of dark comedy, a little bit of a sad but funny writing style. I thought, maybe I want to tackle this book. The next book is If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English by Noor Naga. There were a couple of people that talked about this book, and I think it's about, I'm not sure if she's half Egyptian or an Egyptian American, or if she was just is a part of the diaspora, but I know that this main character doesn't speak Arabic and then goes to Egypt to live there, and then it's about her relationship with a man, how they navigate not speaking the same language. If the title says that that's what it's about, so I'm just trying to fit what I remember from the synopsis with the title. I also added this book, Ever Since We Small by Celeste Mohammed, and this is a multi-generational story set in Trinidad, and I think I'm gonna like this book. I really love the cover. The next book is Salutation Road by Salma Ibrahim. This book is also set in Sudan. It's a little bit of a coming-of-age story. The next book is A Splintering by Dur-e-Aziz Amna, and I think this is a Pakistani author, I'm not sure. And this book is about exploration of womanhood in a very raw way. Seems very interesting. Also saw The Fisherman by John Langan on a lot of people's list. And cosmic horror is a little bit of a hit and miss for me sometimes, but I really wanted to tackle this book because a lot of people said that it was very well written. Sometimes cosmic horror works for me. So yeah, if I think of Zamil Akhtar, or what is that book that Victor Laval, I think, wrote, The Ballad of Black Tom. So I think sometimes it works for me, and I'm gonna try to read it and see if I want to explore more in this genre or not, subgenre. The next book is The Butcher of the Forest by Primi Mohammed, and I've read from Primi Mohammed last year, and I really liked her writing. And this book is a short, she does a lot of short stories, and this is also a very short book, and it's more of a fantasy book. So I thought might be interesting to see how her fantasy writing looks like. Another book that I think it's a 2025 release, I Medusa by Ayana Gray. A lot of people around me are reading it right now and are praising this book, and I'm like having a little bit of an ennui moment because I can't read it, but I'm gonna read it as soon as I can. And this book, I think it's a fantasy, Medusa retelling, Black author, so checking all the boxes, so I want to pick it up as soon as possible. And yeah, seems like an interesting story. The next book is On Sundays, She Picked Flowers by Yahya Schofield. And I heard this book has amazing writing. It's like a beautiful, little bit of a haunting situation, a little bit of a horror angle. It's really scary. The 24th book is We Computers, a ghazal novel by Hamid Ismailov. And this book I picked because of the cover. In the description, it said it's a poetic experimental novel using the structure of a ghazal to explore technology, authoritarianism, and human connection. What is a ghazal? If I translate it in Arabic, ghazal means flirting, or what is that? Not Rudolph, Bambi, that animal. It's like one of the two things. Which of the two is it ghazal or is it ghazal? And if it's flirting or this animal, I don't know which of the two We Computers is about, but I just know that maybe it's not about any of those two. Maybe it's like, I think it's a Persian author, so it could be something else, unrelated. Number 25 is Visual by George Saunders. And sorry, a lot of people are hyping this book. It's like, oh, this book is going to come out in 2026. It's going to be amazing. All I know is like it has a little bit about anxiety, and also it's a little bit absurd. And I love absurd, especially if there's a little bit of a horror angle. The last book that I wanted to be on my 26 books to read in 2026 is The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali. It's about the 1950s Iran, and you follow like the days of the normal people on the street and how they are experiencing the uprising or upheaval that happened in the 1950s in Iran. And yeah, I think I'm very interested, and I think a little bit of a historical angle works for me sometimes. Very intrigued to tackle this book. These are the 26 books that I really want to read in 2026. What are books that you want to tackle in 2026? Do you have books that are high on your list? It doesn't have to be 26 books. Maybe there's a book that you really are hoping to read within the next season. Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and bye.